If data management is slowing down your business, you need the Intuit ERP. If one entity is here, and one here, and one here, and one here, you need the Intuit ERP. If scaling your business feels like starting over, you need the Intuit ERP. Intuit Enterprise Suite is the AI-native ERP solution that consolidates, migrates, and automates, all in one place. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
Excuse me! Taxi! What are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
The big story, the other big story, of course, is Zora Mamdani saying that it's an imagined exodus. And then he puts out that video bragging that he's going to raise taxes on New York. Well, who better to talk about it, guys, than Melissa DeRosa, former senior aide to then Governor Andrew Cuomo. Melissa, you can't make it up. First of all, the video, this video he puts out on tax day saying, I'm going to tax the heck out of you. Isn't that great? What did you think?
Well, first of all, great to be back, guys. And I also continue to be amazed at how much President Trump talks to the press. I mean, the phone rings and he just answers it and starts talking to reporters, and the reporters tweet about it, and it continues to blow my mind. But that aside, no, it's crazy. I mean, I feel like an enterprising reporter should foil what the production bill is at City Hall, because I feel like all Zora Mamdani does all day long is cut videos, and I would love to know how much of the taxpayer dollars are going to cut the videos talking about raising the taxes. But no, it truly is the height of arrogance, Rita. At a time when every census report that comes out, we continue to bleed population, wealth, and congressional seats, which means power in Washington, as Governor Patterson will well tell you. The amount of seats we've lost in the last 10 years, I think we've gone from something like 30 to 25, and I think we're slated to lose another 2 in the next round.
It's frightening.
And so, yeah, it's frightening. And so to be out there bragging about making ourselves less competitive and telling people not to believe their lying eyes, while all the numbers show we continue to bleed not just people, but also jobs. And this week it came out, we are also now bleeding businesses. We're losing more businesses than are opening. Is the height of arrogance is the only phrase to put it.
Melissa, I was on Fox this morning, Fox Business with Stuart Varney, and I said that they can't keep squeezing the citizens of New York City and New York State, because at a certain point they're going to reach the FU level and they're going to start leaving. And you know who's going to leave? Not necessarily the billionaires. Billionaires can leave anytime they want. It's the middle class that makes $200,000-$300,000 a year, which is a lot of them.
No, look, John, first of all, we're well past that point. It's not that we are going to reach that point. We're past that point. I mean, since COVID, we've lost 500,000 people. When you don't account for the non-documented migrants and immigrants who have come in the last several years, that number goes even higher. And so this is not an imagined crisis. There is a brain drain. There is flight that's going on right now across the state and the city. And to your point, John, right before the mayoral primary in June, the New York Times actually did an in-depth analysis of the African-American middle class flight from New York, and how people who had been born and raised and lived in the city and in the outer boroughs had left post-COVID. And so it's not just the billionaires and the millionaires who can leave whenever they want. It is this squeeze of the middle class and this arrogance and the psychology behind, we're going to tax you to death, literally the estate tax, but we're going to tax you to death any way we can, property taxes, estate taxes, income taxes. There you reach a psychological tipping point on top of everything else, and it's over. And I'm very afraid that we have reached that point.
By the way, I got to ask you, Melissa, about the First Lady of New York. She put out sort of a rare apology, I guess, if you will, but it's a half apology. And she made a lot of comments that were very anti-Semitic. I mean, praising where she liked these tweets about October 7th, 2023. But she says, essentially, I made these comments. She said the language I used, I apologize, or, it wasn't appropriate when I was 15. But that's for a comment she made in 2013. The other one was in 2023. She wasn't 15.
No, please. I mean, if it weren't for the woke far left and the liberal bias in the media, in particular, things like the New York Times and New York Magazine, and I saw Vogue, last week. This is a woman who not just the atrocious comments and likes and retweets of things celebrating terrorism and denying rape that took place and murders that took place on October 7th. She used the N-word. She mocked gay people, said that she was going to leave social media because all these gays were following her. I mean, and by the way, I am 43 years old. I never spoke that way. Not when I was 8, not when I was 10, not when I was 15. But let's put that aside, because that is like who you are in your core, right? If you have those values, that is part of your core, and it's never excusable. But layer on top of that the fact that, to your point, Rita, some of these comments went up through the last few years and into her early mid-20s and just 3 years ago, and she's only like 26, 27. So when you're like, oh, it was a mistake of my youth in my early 20s, it's like that was 5 minutes ago. And so, I think a lot about if that were Melania Trump, if that were a lot of other first ladies, would they get the same pass that she's getting? And the fact that she has not been held accountable much, much to a greater degree. And instead, the liberal media celebrates her and holds her up almost as a role model to young women, which she is not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a half-hearted, and he never condemned the comments either. Let's not forget that either.
Because,
oh, no, he just said she's the love of my life. And then also went on to say she's not a public person.
That's not true, Melissa. Of course she's a public person.
Not. Of course, and in a very public front page story in New York Magazine, which she posed for and gave an in-depth interview in, sources said that she was one of his top advisors during the campaign, and she's accepting free front row tickets to Fashion Week, attending as the First Lady of New York. That is a public position, and she has leaned into it when she has wanted to, when it's beneficial to her. And then when she is called out for some of these things, that's their duck and cover.
She also has a security detail from NYPD.
100%. And it's such a double standard. And Governor Patterson, can you imagine when you were in office, if there was something going on in your family and you said, oh, they're off limits? It would have been a joke. The New York Times would have never let you get away with that. It's just, it's crazy to me.
Governor Patterson?
Oh, I got away with it.
Well, that was the most important thing.
Melissa, the thing is, people have lost elections over a sentence that they used improperly. That's what the standard used to be. Now it's as if you can excoriate all types of people that you don't like and then lie about them, and nobody does anything about it. So I'm really glad
Bob Abrams, to your point, Governor, Bob Abrams lost the election against Al D'Amato because Abrams, in a moment of pique, called D'Amato a fascist.
Exactly.
And it killed Bob Abrams' campaign for the Senate.
And that's mild compared to that.
Who did D'Amato call a schmuck and lost the election in that?
He didn't even learn the lesson. He won the election when he was called a fascist, but he forgot the lesson. He was running against Schumer. He called him a schmuck.
Well, at least he's consistent.
Melissa DeRosa, thank you for coming on. We love you.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.